Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Hyperactive Vibes. I'm excited that you all decided to tune in, and recently I have come to a revelation. So technically it wasn't a revelation. I guess you can call it more so a smart financial decision that I really didn't want to have to make, but now that I put myself on the cusp, now I have to make it. Either way, you want to call it that, you want to call it something else, it's all up to you. But pretty much, I will not be able to live on campus this semester. Guys, the coronavirus, Ms. Rona has truly set back a lot of people's plans, including mine, to live on campus for the duration of my 4-year college experience. I spent 2 years at community college where I lived at home, and once I was able to transfer to my school, the 4-year institution, a senior institution, a wonderful institution, the Wolf Pack, okay? Once I was actually able to transfer, I was so excited to live on campus. I was able to do so for my first year, and now that dream has gone. And it's no longer, at least for this semester, maybe even for the entire year. But based off of my previous year, my previous experience living on campus, I want to come to you all and give you all some tips and tricks on living with roommates. Now listen, it can be really challenging living with someone else, especially when you have no idea who they are. You don't know their background story. You don't know their habits. You don't know who their friends are. You don't know anything about these people except what you're able to dig up through your creepy social media search and background check on them. So you're walking into the situation with no idea really of who these people are. Now personally, my experience living with roommates is that it did not go as expected. It did not go as planned. I could not have even fathomed how negative the experience would have been and how much roommates can truly impact your college journey. For me, I did not have the best of roommates. I had 2 roommates who were pretty horrible, and then 1 roommate who was actually kind of great. And then eventually the roommate who was great ended up leaving, and I got replaced with another lady who, with another roommate who was great as well, but I still had to live with those 2 horrible roommates. So what I'm gonna do now is hop right in and give you those tips on how to avoid or how to navigate a space with roommates. Let's go. It has been way too long. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Hyperactive Vibes, Hyperactive Vibes. So the 5 points that I'll be giving to you all today is: number 1, talk to your roommate beforehand. Number 2, put your best foot forward. Number 3, set boundaries. Number 4, be consistent and follow through. And number 5, learn some conflict resolution skills. Bam. So here we go. We're gonna jump right in. So number 1 was talk to your roommates beforehand. It's really important that you establish some type of connection with whoever you're going to be living with. Whether you are living in a double occupancy room, that means there's 2 people in a room and you're sharing typically one side, or you're living in a suite like I did, where you are sharing a bathroom with 1 person and maybe a living and kitchen space with 2 other people. So there's 4 of you guys in total. So it's really important that whoever you're living with, that you meet up with them or chat with them beforehand. And in doing so, you're able to establish a lot of boundaries before you even get into the space. You're able to figure out who's gonna bring what the rules and regulations are gonna be for your common areas. You're able to kind of get to know them and do that creepy social media background stalking that I mentioned before. Even though it can be kind of creepy, it's kind of useful, especially when everybody's putting a large majority of their life on social media. So it can be really beneficial to get to know the person or the people beforehand by checking them out on social media, kind of finding out a little more of who they are. And in my experience, when I did that, it really helped me to figure out, okay, this is their aesthetic, this is their dynamic. Oh, these 2 people already know each other. Oh, they're really close to each other. Oh, this person's a transfer student coming from somewhere completely different, completely out of state. So it was really informative for me to do that kind of background search and get to know my roommates beforehand. And then after doing that, we actually started an Instagram group, which I would highly recommend you start some type of Instagram, some type of chat box, chat messaging group, whatever you want to call it, so that you guys can kind of, you know, lay down the ground rules, lay down the framework. And I can also make another video on what exactly you all should discuss during that conversation. If you all are interested, just let me know and leave a comment below and say hashtag what do we say. There it is. All right. So number 1 was talk to your roommates beforehand and get to know them, establish a boundary, and be a little creepy and do that search. Now number 2, put your best foot forward. Now when you actually move in and you're meeting these people, it's really important that you give a really good impression of yourself, because you're going to be living with these people for the next 4 to 8 months. So it's important that you get them, or that you guys start on the best possible foot. So what that means is when you walk in, when you see them, greet them, say hi, be friendly, you know, open yourself up to a new possible experience. Some people end up being best friends with their roommates by the time they graduate. Some people end up just having a good or decent experience with them, and some people end up having horrible experiences. But definitely when you're stepping into the space, it's really important that you put your best foot forward. So come in with a smile, come in friendly and waving, and maybe a little energetic. Whatever it is that suits your boat, that floats your boat, make sure you pass on those good vibes. That's tip number 2, put your best foot forward. Now, number 3, set boundaries. Now this setting boundaries is probably one of the most important tips that I could give you. It trumps putting your best foot forward. It trumps getting to know your roommates beforehand. At some point, you will want to set boundaries with the people you are living with. So for example, if there's food in the fridge, what can you eat and what can't you eat? Are you the type of person where if you bought it, no one can eat it? If it's not yours, no one can eat it? Or are you more lax where you're like, okay, I bought it, but it's okay if you use a little bit, just don't use all of it. Or if you use all of it, then make sure you replace it. You could be living with 2 people who do not think like you, 2 people who are like, sharing is caring, take everything and replace it when it's empty, versus you're like, don't touch my stuff. So it really matters that you set those boundaries beforehand. Very important. All right, so number 4, be consistent. Be consistent. If you're gonna start out and be very cleanly, if you're gonna start out and be very hygienic and make sure the space is clean and you're cleaning up after all your messes and you are taking showers in the morning, whatever your routine may be, whatever habits you have set, follow through with them. Make sure that if you do have a hiccup, that you communicate that with your roommates. And so just make sure that you're staying consistent and that you're following through with your word after you already put your best foot forward. And also remember that by you communicating with your roommates beforehand, you can establish a lot of boundaries. So now this brings me on to my last and final tip for living with roommates. Number 5. Conflict resolution. So it is really important that you find out what your conflict resolution style is. How do you typically handle situations? So for example, myself, I'm the type of person where if I have an issue, I'm gonna come head on and I'm gonna tell you, hey, this is the issue that I'm having. This is why I believe it's happening, and here's ways that we can try to rectify or figure this out. But not everybody can really handle that. So once I figured out that this direct, straightforward tactic was not working, I realized that going through social media tended to work better because it gave them more time to think about what their response was and to process the situation, and it just made them feel more comfortable. And so that's really what living with someone is all about, just making them feel comfortable, making sure you are comfortable, making sure it's a very relaxed environment, or one that you feel comfortable coming back to at the end of the day. Or if you spend all your time there, one that you feel comfortable spending a lot of your time there. So it's very important, like I said, to learn some type of conflict resolution skill, because there will be situations where, you know, an issue may pop up. So it's important that you have that in your tool belt, ready to be used in a productive manner that will make sure that your environment remains friendly and comfortable, but you still get your point across and you're setting those boundaries that we talked about. So to reiterate our points, point 1 was talk to your roommate beforehand. Point number 2, put your best foot forward. Point number 3, set boundaries. And point number 4, be consistent and follow through. And lastly, point number 5, learn some conflict resolution types. So now you have 5 tips, 5 pointers that I hope will help you in living with a roommate, whether you're living in a suite where you have your own room but you're sharing common areas, or if you're living actually in the same room with someone. And so, thank you all for tuning in today. If you related to one of these tips or you liked one of them, if you learned something new, whatever it may be, then give the video a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of me, then don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I post. And also, if you have any tips or tricks that you would like to give that I missed out on, feel free to comment them down below. And I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Bye guys!